looking forward to a good show.
We should have a dandy, as we've got some good bowlers who are trying to unseat Scott Baker, who's back for his third attempt to repeat as our Miller Lite star. And so far this year, we've only had 2 stars, Dean Nance and now Scott Baker, and Scott's trying to do what Dean did and go 4 weeks in a row.
Right, we've had a lot of bowlers trying to dethrone these guys, but we've got a couple guys hanging on to them. We've got 2 scratch bowlers today, right. Tony Sholler and Mike Crail, and 3 handicap bowlers, so it'd be interesting to see how they come out.
Tony is back. Tony Sholler and Terry Isgrigg will be in match number 1, the winner of that game against Mike Crail. And then they'll take on Victor Osborne, making his first appearance on the show. And the winner of that match will go on against Scott Baker. We'll be back with all the bowling right after this word. Stars of TV Bowling is presented in cooperation with the Kentucky Post, where Monday, Pieces of the Past recalls FDR's visit here 50 years ago. And welcome back to LaRu Lanes in Highland Heights, Kentucky. Denny Wright along with Rick Hitt. And we're ready for match number 1. It'll be Tony Sholler against Terry Isgrigg. I believe Terry was on a couple times last year. Tony, this is his 3rd appearance of 95. He's been away from the game for a few years in the early 90s. I believe he had an accident, and he's come back in big-time fashion as Tony Sholler.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Tony's bowled real well since he's come back from the accident. Been throwing the ball well, so we'll...
Good start. Good strike for Tony Sholler as he opens on lane 13. Our TV pair this morning is 13 and 14.
We've kind of got an interesting situation, Denny, today in the fact that we got 2 bowlers in the first match. Tony, being a veteran, bowled for 12 years, have carried some high averages of 224 this season, 14 300 games, very capable of posting big scores. And Terry, we've got a bowler that's been bowling 6 years, carrying a nice average. He's a left-hander.
Oh, another left-hander. I'm working with 2 left-handers in this first game.
Oh, we love the left-handers, but Terry's drawing 24 pins a handicap, where Tony's a scratch bowler, and they both qualified at Walt Center Lanes.
Right.
And they're doing the show here at LaRu, so we're going to have to find out how they adjust to the wooden conditions compared to what they qualified.
Exactly it. I know that there's a big difference because I bowled this past season down at Walt's, and it's the conditions on the urethane lanes are very, very different.
Well, you have 2 different surfaces with the synthetic lanes at Walt Center Lanes compared to the wooden lanes that we have here at LaRu. You just get different oil patterns that move around and the conditions change different. So you get a little different reaction. As you can see, that shot there with Terry was a nice shot compared to the first one. Come up a little bit high on the 6 pin, but there again, he's getting handicapped, so he needs to make spares. Tony's going to throw some strikes. We know that.
Terry is, as you mentioned, giving away Tony's giving away 24 pins to Terry. Terry, a 24-pin handicap start with, and could be a critical error there early, missing that 6-pin. It just slid on by.
Yeah, that's the thing. Tony's Shouller's a very rhythm bowler. Has a lot of power and strikes a lot. So if he gets locked on a shot, he's struck in the first frame, he's going to throw strikes. It's important that Terry Isgrigg does make spares. He can't have open frames if he wants to win the match.
Talking to Tony as we were warming up, and he was standing there shooting some shots, and he was throwing on 14 here, right over 10, down and in. A nice line to throw. And he sent the scout, but not quite. Left the 10-pin. What a nightmare that 10-pin is for the right-hander and the 7-pin for the left-hander.
That's the truth. The right lane on 14, I noticed the back end seemed to be a little bit tighter in the back end of the lane, so the ball won't be driving in as hard. Tony made a great shot there, but did leave a 10-pin. Needs to convert this spare.
Just nipped it, but that's all that counts. 20 in the first. And a spare in the second for Tony Sholler. See our score on the monitor. Rhonda Specht is keeping score for us today. We want to thank her. She was a 7th place finisher in the qualifiers. We had 2 ladies who were 6th and 7th in qualifying.
Yeah, we did. Had a good friend of mine from Walt Center Lanes, Babette Norris, who was top lady qualifier, and she couldn't make it for the alternate position today, so Rhonda volunteered to come in and keep score for us, so we appreciate it.
And Babette Norris, a very nice lady who's a very good friend of ours from down at Walt's, finished 6th. and Rhonda finished 7th. So any ladies who might be watching, please come out and give it a try.
Oh,
You
yeah.
never know what might happen.
Rhonda had a real nice scratch score of 665 in her handicap.
Terry Isgrigg with a nice shaking strike on 14.
You notice a different contrast in styles. Terry's a tall, thin person, has a nice arm swing. Because of his not bowling as many years, he doesn't have as strong a follow-through as Tony Sholler does. You'll watch he'll lay it out there. I think if Terry wanted to do anything to improve on his game, it would be trying to follow through and lift up through the fingers a little more to create the ball to drive through the pins a little harder. But he has a good accurate shot. He's not spraying the ball around on the lanes.
He's got the good basics. Here it comes. Just a bit thin on 13 is 5-6.
With the tighter back ends that we have in the lanes today on the wood surface carry down, we have a lot of conditioner carry down the back end. The lack of follow through in Terry's game right there showed up. That ball comes into the pocket light and just see the deflection. It leaves a very unusual 5-6 pin lead. Can be converted. He needs to fit it right in between them.
Not quite. So Terry has 80 through 4 and is open in the 4th. Tony Sholler can cut drastically into this lead with a double here in the 4th.
I like to see them left-handers do well, but I know Tony Sholler for years, and Terry doesn't want to be open frames against him. He will blow right by him.
Tony will leave you in the dust. That's 2 of the identical same shots on 14.
Yeah, Tony's going to have to work something probably in his speed or slight movement on the lane. There again, the right lane 14 is playing a little tighter in the back ends. As he came into the pocket, you can see the pin deflect, his hammer he's throwing, blue hammer, deflect to the right there in the 3rd frame, leaving the weak 10, the 6 laying down in the channel.
6 laid down, everything else did its job, but the 10 pin remains. And he converts. So a strike from Tony here in the 5th, and we can have a tied match through 4.
Yeah, the 2 open frames has allowed Tony to make up the 24 pins handicap that he was giving away. So those are the things that Terry just doesn't need to do is have an open frames. He needs to convert these spares. Probably a little nervous. Lane's a little tighter than he's probably used to. He slows down a little bit and just kind of relaxes. He can be in this match.
Terry is, as you mentioned, has been bowling 6 years at 185 average. He's the Erlanger Businessmen's at its Super Bowl on a regular basis. This is the same problem that faced Tony last 2 times he's been on the program. He's been right into the pocket, and the dreaded 7 pin or 10 pin.
Well, with the wet back ends that we have today, Tony's using what we call a low radius of gyration ball or low energy ball. Doesn't create a lot of back end hook, just controlled roll, and he'll hang a few 10 pins with that. He doesn't have as much power, but he has a lot of control with it.
Hey, as long as you keep converting them, that's no problem. But every once in a while, one will jump up and bite you, and then you wish you hadn't. So Tony Sholler has cut that 24 pin deficit to start with down to 1 pin, 80 to 79 through 4. Tony on a spare. Terry Isgrigg up on 14. Nice, easy delivery by Terry Isgrigg.
Nice, smooth game. Very smooth in the roll. Fairly accurate, keeping the ball in his play area. Doesn't hit the ball. I kind of lays it off his hand with not a lot on it, but it rolls up and gets the light shaker and carries him out. He's staying in the match right now.
Tell you what, he throws the type of ball that is pretty conducive to good scoring. He uses the nice, easy delivery with the light mixer on everything he throws. And those of us that have pounded the pocket and see the 7 or the 10 pin stand up there, you get kind of depressed once in a while.
That's right. He's going to have a controlled shot, something he can keep in play, and sometimes that nice down and in roll gives you those shakers. On the last frame there, we've seen Terry. I don't know if he made an adjustment or if he just straightened up that shot a little bit, but he drilled that ball solid in the pocket and turned out real nice. Got a double up there and got a little pressure on Tony now.
Tony had his work cut out again up in the 6th frame.
I think Tony feels fairly relaxed. I think the biggest issue is he just has to get the carry.
He changes the direction a little bit into the pocket on that. He went out a little bit further out on the about over board 8 or 9, and that that difference got him a different angle into the pocket and blew him out.
Well, the bowler's track area today where the ball's making the most friction on the lane is right around the 7th and 8th boards. Tony was playing inside around the 10 board, trying to keep control on the edge of the oil, and was leaving the weak 10. He made a move there where he gets the ball out to the right, into the track a little more speed, and he carries the rack.
Tony is a veteran, and he can read and react with the best of them. Seven pin.
Boy, tough break. He makes a good adjustment on 14 to strike, makes another adjustment on 13, and gets a rack ripper and saws out, and the 5 just flies around the 7, doesn't quite carry it.
Sounded to me like there might have been a little double dribble on that one, and the reason for the 7 pin. Cross lane to 7. Hung on. 119 through 6 for Tony Sholler. A double for Terry.
Right now, Tony hasn't made a mistake in this game as far as staying clean, but he's trailing a little bit behind from a lack of carry. Terry throws this strike. He puts a lot of pressure on Tony Sholler.
Just got that one out, did Terry Isgrigg.
There again, a bowler like Terry Isgrigg, who has a nice, easy roll on the ball and doesn't turn it a lot, has a good control game, but he doesn't create the area on the lane. If he gets the ball wide, left to target like he did on that shot, he's not going to get it back to the pocket.
No, he won't snap it back like guys like yourself tend to do.
He just needs to settle down and make this spare, and he'll be all right.
Converts it nicely. He has a 7-pin lead through 6 frames, 126 to 119.
Looks like we've opened the day's round with a good match so far. We've got a 7-pin match. That's the way we like it.
This whole series of programs that we've done so far this year, every match has been very good, and that is unusual. Every once in a while you find a match that may not be that exciting, but they have all been very good matches. Again, he got it out on 13.
Terry just doesn't throw a real big break ball. He's got a nice delivery, and he doesn't create the area. He got that ball just a few boards wide of target. Tried to make it back up. Doesn't have the finish to get the light hit. Needs a converted spare to keep the pressure on Tony.
Another open as he picks the 5-pin. 151 and open through 8. Another opening for Tony Sholler. Terry's making it easy for Tony to come back.
Yes, he is, and it's all coming from one thing. For the folks listening in, I preach to our young bowlers that we teach and adults: spares.
Spares. Oh.
Open frames is not the way you want to win matches.
They'll murder you. Open.
You know, Tony here could throw 10 strikes in a row and beat you, but when he's not carrying, if you open, you still let him come by you. He got the opportunity needed.
There he is, right there. He jumped on it.
That's a bowler that has been around and bowled a lot of pressure shots. When you get the opportunity to take the lead, you make a great shot and strike.
There's a lot of bowlers in this area. Tony is one of them I would care not to go head and head against under any circumstances.
He's a confident bowler.
He is.
He's got very good confidence in his game and keeps himself focused on what he wants to do.
A strike here will give him the lead. Light. He left it way out, and he knew it as soon as he let it go. A makeable spare, the 1-2-8. As you can see on our quad, there are the balls that enters the pocket is not even close to the head pin.
I like to see a bowler every once in a while, especially on a telecast, to make that shot to let the bowlers know that there is an out of bounds on these lanes. It's just not wide open. Tony's been flirting with a little more right in order to get the ball to drive through the pins, and that one got a couple boards wide of target and just didn't recover.
Oh, that one had a miss written all over it when that ball was going down the oil in the middle. But he carried and has taken the lead, 159 to 151 through 8. Tony has got a spare in the foundation, and Terry Isgrigg up in the foundation 9th frame. See if he can go to work and start putting some pressure on Tony. Again, he got it out. 1-3-6-9. Terry's had a couple of bad counts.
Yeah, the
which has
pin
not
count
helped.
hasn't helped him any. You're right, Denny. The pin count's kind of tough because you got a few open frames, and when you do have a mark up or somebody's got to get the pin count, it makes it tough to convert
Really
these
does.
4-pin spares.
Yes, you don't like to make a career of these. And again, he misses. So Terry is digging himself a hole. He needs to strike out in the 10th and hope that it's enough. He can finish with 190. Right now, Tony Sholler is on a 209 pace. He goes all the way.
He needs to take it out to force any pressure on
Absolutely.
Tony whatsoever. Good roll on the ball.
Week 7.
My nightmare.
Yes.
Week 7. I'd like to take an opportunity, Denny, also to, we have our YBA traveling leagues throughout the city, YBA Traveling Trio League out of Walt Center Lanes, to congratulate 2 of our youth bowlers this year. Yesterday we had a bowler named Dusty Hill that shoots 825 series.
Ooh.
And 19 years old. And we also had Tyler Martin earlier in the year, 19-year-old, shot his first 300 and 814 series. So I'd like to congratulate them personally and really encourage those boys for that fine bowling.
I would too. I'd like to meet him. That's an incredible performance, and people who do not bowl don't realize what it takes to throw an 800 series or a
800 to me
300
is the
game.
accomplishment, yes.
Oh, I'm telling you, 800 series means consistency throughout. You figure you have to average about 265 per game to roll 800 series. There it is, right there. That locks it up. So Tony, it's not practical to say struggled, but he did in the first game. He was in the pocket except for one throw, but he hasn't
Well, he
had
struggled.
the success.
Struggled in the sense on a bowler of his level. At his level, he's looking to carry pins, and he's not getting the pin carry that he'd hoped to get, but he got enough to win the match, and that's what counts.
7 pin.
See, there again, that's where, in my position or a lot of bowlers' position, we'll see what Tony decides to do. May elect to either make an equipment change balls to try to get a little stronger back-end roll, or else change something in his physical game to make the ball to finish harder. Right now, he's having trouble getting the finish in the back ends of the lanes.
Cross lane converts to 7. So our winner of our first match is Tony Sholler. He overcomes a 24-pin handicap and defeats Terry Isgrigg 199 to 169. Tony Sholler will move into the next match against veteran Mike Crail. We'll have that right after this word.